Listener discretion is advised.
Okay. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents. We're doing great. I haven't left my house in 3 weeks.
So tired, you guys.
I woke up from a nap like 30 seconds ago.
Oh.
I don't.
my God.
There's something about not doing anything that makes one more exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
Utterly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill and I had a busy weekend, so, like, I get why we're tired, but then I also got my period today, so my whole being, my vessel is just like, oh, honey,
Oh, yeah.
nope.
I'm on more IVF hormones, so that's great.
Get it?
Basically, anytime I feel even remotely okay for 48 hours straight, something else happens and my body is thrown through another loop.
Love it.
Yay.
Great. It's great.
What about you, Lucy? What's your complaint?
I don't know. I'm just tired.
Who are we?
Yeah. What's happening
I'm Kenyan. You know about my hormones now.
now? I'm Lucy. I'm tired.
I'm Amanda. This is your reminder to deep clean your menstrual cup.
Ish.
Yeah, you don't want it to be like that Viking horn.
Oh, God.
Ew. Mystery fluids leaking
You
out.
guys.
Actually, I wonder if they ever
accidentally.
used horns.
Ew.
As menstrual cups?
No,
probably
They stuck
not.
you in a tent for a week and
The
said,
answer is
we don't want to
no.
see that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ish.
go.
Stay away. Avoid sharks.
Here's some absorbent moss.
Yeah. Sit on this tuft. Here are some stinging nettles that we fashioned
Your
into
name
a,
is Miss Muffet now.
we fashioned into a menstrual pad, these stinging nettles.
You can't move or you'll curse your entire village.
Yep.
Okay.
Now sit still. But also take care of the children. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, this is neither
We're
here nor
historians.
there, but we have a very special fan pick for you today, brought to you by our fan picker, Samantha Vanderveen.
She intervanderveened with our schedule.
She did, or they did. Yes. It's pronounced Vandervine.
Vandervina.
Samantha has selected the topic of video game crimes.
You play a video game.
I've had that song in my head all day.
All day.
I don't know what that is.
It's Lana Del Rey.
It's called
Oh.
Video Games. It's a really great song.
And when we did our New Orleans show, I think you were napping, Kenyon, but Lucy and I were sitting out on the veranda, and there was definitely like a karaoke bar on the same block, and someone was just really doing their best on some bad karaoke of video games. So Lucy and I just burst out singing it on the veranda to drown her out.
We had our secondary.
It's all for you.
We had our own little secondary karaoke, and then we called Kat Dennings.
Yes, we did.
I can't believe I napped through all that.
We drunk
been day
dialed Kat
drinking.
Dennings. She liked it.
Oops. Yeah, she loved it. Hi, Kat.
All right. Well, Amanda, what is our wine crime pairing for video game crimes?
It's all for you. I sound exactly like Lana Del Rey when I do that. You all at home listening are hopefully drinking this, but full disclosure, I'm not, because I've just had a menstrual headache all day that no amount of Tylenol will get rid of. I did take a gummy before sitting down, though, so I'm not going through this sober, people.
Jealous.
I just didn't want to mix alcohol with all the like ibuprofen I took today, and I feel like
Fair.
I still have like the mild headache, and drinking wine is just gonna bring it completely back. So I'm like, fuck this. But I wanted to get a little bit toasty.
You do you.
But the pairing today is Winc's 2020 Ultramont Verdejo.
Oh, I love this one. I
This
get
is
this
really
one a
good.
lot.
Yeah.
And that translates to Another World, which just felt like a perfect combo for video games, you know?
Absolutely.
Yep. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Have you ever, like, you're a video gamer.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm quite a gamer anymore, but there was a time.
Compared to present company, you are.
I am a gamer. Hardcore gamer. Basically in a LAN party right now.
I have played Grand Theft Auto 3 at
Super
summer
good.
camp in 8th grade.
Mm.
And I have played Lara Croft Tomb Raider with my little cousin when he came to visit in the summers.
Which one? Because there's like 1,000 of them now.
Oh, probably the first one, the number one. We
Love
were
it.
very young.
My friend Robbie, who you all know, is a huge video game buff and has like every game. And so he especially loves horror video games. So he's made me play through some of the scariest fucking scenes. Like he knows that I will not commit to playing through an entire horror game on my own. Like I tried to play BioShock on my computer years ago and I could literally only play it by mostly muting the audio from the actual game and just blasting Kesha in my bedroom because it was so fucking scary. But he's made me play through some like really intense openings, and he made me play through one of the Tomb Raider openings and the screaming. I need a Twitch channel of me just being bad at playing console games.
Yeah. My cousin has a Twitch channel for playing various video games.
Well, there
the
you
Lara
go.
Croft Tomb Raider one.
I might try this out because I am not good, but I am entertaining.
There you go.
Anyway, so this is a selection from our friends over at Winc Wine Club, which is an amazing online wine club that delivers wine directly to your door or another convenient local or not quite as local location if they
Across
don't
the border.
directly serve your state, but they serve most states now. So, you know, Kentucky,
We're
you might be
working
on
on
your
it.
own. You're working on it. And we have an incredible offer for our listeners. If this is your first time ordering from Winc, first of all, either welcome, you're new here, because most of our listeners are already hardcore Winc members, or you are finally giving in after, 5 years of us going, get Winc, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
But you can head to trywinc.com/wine and crime special and get a special new member offer of 4 bottles for $29.95. And these bottles retail in a range of like $12 or $13 a bottle to like $20 a bottle. So like the one we're drinking today is $16.99. So multiply that by 4. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're saving a lot of money. These are like Costco prices for like
Yeah.
real good wines.
And the Costco prices continue if you become a member of Winc Wine Club because you get member pricing. So the regular price on today's bottle, like I said, is $16.99. But as a member, it's $14.99. Come on.
Dang.
It adds up.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So about this particular bottle, the Altre Verdejo, this is a white wine. And I love Verdejos. They're like, to me, they're like the Grenache of white wine. Like they're just a sassy, kind of like a Sauv Blanc alternative. It's less grassy, but you might get a little bit more like earth, wind, and fire in one of these bad boys. This one is crisp. It's citrusy, it's aromatic, it's light in body, it's fruit forward, but it finishes really dry, which I love. It is 13.6% ABV. It's going to make you think of spring, and I think we all need a little bit of that.
Absolutely. Just a little bit of sunshine at the end of this tunnel.
Yep, this never-ending tunnel. And maybe that's why it's so great to be on another world today, and the name for this wine is inspired by the transportive powers that this wine has. It brings you right to the heart of Spain. And, you know, who wouldn't want to be in the heart of Spain on a beautiful spring afternoon?
Yeah.
On a cobbled street. Yeah.
Barcelona.
Fucking sipping one of these bad boys. So if you had it in front of you, you would pop it probably with a Wine and Crime Gals limited edition wine key.
Iridescent. Shimmery.
Iridescent. Gorgeous. But if you're me and you kept it upstairs in the fridge and you're only eating pot, which is clearly starting to kick in, you will just say, cheers, everyone.
Cheers. I'm not going to cheers with water because I'm superstitious.
Well, I did, and I'm a little stitious.
All right. Lucy, what is our background and maybe psych for video game crimes?
got psych, people.
Yes.
All right, as if we need a fucking reminder, a video game or computer game is an electronic game that involves interaction with a user interface or input device such as a joystick, controller, keyboard, or motion sensing device to generate visual feedback.
Well, actually, just kidding.
Oh my God, you are a gamer.
Lucy literally almost just quit the podcast in that moment.
Actually, technically,
They're not called users. They're called...
Oh, God.
I mean, fucking probably. Someone
someone
gonna.
somewhere.
Someone's fucking gonna, and I'm speaking to you right now. Don't.
Or do fucking waste your time. I don't care.
Derek will
don't at
love
me.
it.
Okay.
Derek will respond post-haste.
This feedback is shown on a video display device such as a TV set, monitor, touchscreen, or virtual reality headset. Also,
another world.
what with Facebook's fucking metaverse?
Meta.
I can't deal. I cannot
It's
deal.
so creepy.
It's so creepy.
Like,
I
the
hate
world
it.
has already been slowly ending for a really long time, but this just really escalated the vibe.
Speeding it up. I don't like it.
It's not
great.
It did escalate the vibe.
It really
I just
did.
don't... Like, we're only in our mid-30s, and, like, I just don't want... Like, we're looking down the barrel of, like, a lot more decades of, like, technology advancements, and I don't want it.
We only have a good 30 years left
I'm done.
of like a habitable planet, so it's fine.
Thank God.
All right. Well, at least there's that bright
I'm
spot.
comforted.
We'll all be
By that.
bananas in a very short period of time.
Stop. That's
Yeah,
my
don't-
new fear.
Don't worry about the AI takeover because climate change will kill us all first. Okay, perfect.
Worry about bananadom. Okay.
God, we are going through it.
We really are. But all I can
Clearly.
think of is like how my grandma, like, she couldn't figure out the voicemail box machine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because she was born in 1930 fucking one.
Right.
She could barely figure out like an egg timer.
I'll Google it, Grandma.
I don't know how,
I don't know.
I don't have an Uber phone.
but
Yeah.
I don't have an Uber.
That's going to be us in like 2 years.
No.
Well, I don't really care.
Speak
I'm
for
gonna
yourself.
embrace it.
We'll be on our isolated commune by then.
Mm.
Now the metaverse and bananas are intrinsically linked in my mind.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Meta nana. Anyway,
We'll workshop it.
Yeah,
we're
that
workshopping.
was awesome. Okay, what's happening?
Video games are often augmented with audio feedback delivered through speakers or headphones, and sometimes with other types of feedback, including haptic technology. And that refers to any technology that can create an experience of touch by applying forces, vibrations, or motions to the user. So anything from like a vibrating controller to using a steering wheel for like Mario Kart.
Fun. Those are the best. Love those.
Do you love them?
My God.
Well, I don't love them, but like that's fun. When
That's
you go to
telling.
like
That's telling if
an
that's your
arcade.
choice. That's your
guess.
choice of controller is the plastic steering wheel.
yeah.
We got a gamer over here.
Oh yeah.
Simple pleasures for this
Oh,
one.
I love it.
Your actual driving terrifies me, so stick to the video games.
Yeah.
Remember
Ooh,
when
it's
she was trying to park?
Are you part of it?
Okay, that 16-year-old was giving terrible directions for
To
how
be
I was
fair,
supposed to move my car.
That is true.
You
they
did
were.
the same thing almost every time you
I was
parked in a
gonna say,
parking lot,
but it
though. That was
didn't-
not the only example.
The directions were only part of the problem.
I park in spaces.
Remember that one parking lot when you guys needed coffee at that little
Make
like
it into
strip
spaces.
mall? Eventually.
I was just thinking that. Her car has more cameras. There's an aerial view to help her, both sides. I mean, it's like being in Facebook's metaverse, whatever
It's a metaverse,
in that fucking car.
She
Yeah.
cannot do it.
Can
I
barely
park
park.
just fine. I'm just slow and deliberate.
This is us in the passenger seat.
Oh, God.
Just pumping the brakes as
When we
you're
were
like
in-
inching into the parking spot.
When we were in Louisville with Scott, I sat in the back and let him have the front seat the whole trip.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I just want you to
Scott
be
doesn't
comfortable.
mind my driving as much.
Scott doesn't talk about it. Okay.
He doesn't.
He's nicer than us.
God damn it. Amanda's losing it.
It was an experience. It's
I
the
thought
one
I
I'll
did
never
a pretty
forget.
good job.
Well, we're alive, so you clearly did all right.
I've never been in an accident, knock on wood.
You've driven a total of 600 miles your entire life. The odds
Yeah.
are in your favor.
May they ever
Guys,
be.
Lucy's not exaggerating.
Also, the tire fell off one time.
Not my fault, and you know it.
I do, but that might constitute an accident.
Anyway,
Okay. Video
I did
games.
great.
Video games are categorized depending on their platform. So we have arcade video games, Kenyon's fun ones, console games, PC games, mobile gaming, virtual and augmented reality gaming, and remote cloud gaming. There are an estimated.
Amanda, get a grip.
I never will. It's over for me.
It's just so extreme.
It's fucking amazing.
I did good, listeners.
I'm sure they believe you.
Yeah.
There are an estimated 2 billion video game users worldwide. It's a $30 billion a year industry, with over 65% of U.S. households having at least one computer, console, or handheld device used to play video games. I myself have a Switch.
Yep. And your
Corey
husband's
has
an
an
Xbox
Xbox.
guy. Yeah.
Mhm. The average gamer is 35 years old. Weird. With self-identifying female gamers representing about 41% of users.
Fun.
Pretty equal.
Yeah, I like it.
The earliest video game dates way back to 1947. And this was called a Cathode-Ray tube amusement device.
So it was a medical device for going up your pee.
It was like, it looks
You're
like
getting-
it
you're
came out
getting
of Chernobyl.
You're getting catheter and cathode ray a little
Yes.
mixed up.
Yeah.
Am I, or are they both cut from the same fitter?
I don't think
Or
they
maybe you're getting
are.
amusement. Maybe that's throwing you. I don't know.
People are into all
Or
kinds of cool shit. Who am I to
device.
judge?
Used in gynecological settings for years.
Knew it.
Just kidding.
Fuck! I thought you were serious. I was so proud. I was like, nailed it.
Give
Fuck
me
yeah.
credit.
I thought that was maybe the first time I screamed, "Give me credit" today, but it won't be the last. I assure you, my friend.
You need your daily credit quota.
She self-advocates.
Yeah.
I do. I do.
You
It's
know
a
what
skill.
you need. Okay, so this cathode ray tube amusement device was filed for a patent on January 25th, 1947 by Thomas T. Goldsmith Jr. and Essel Ray Mann. That is a name. Inspired by
Okay.
radar display technology. You guys, I saw there was a picture of this. I don't know why I didn't drop it on the drive. I'll find it again. But it's like, it's not cute.
Yeah, it's a catheter.
It's not a catheter.
Keep up.
It consists of an analog device allowing a user to control the parabolic arc of a dot on the screen to simulate a missile being fired at targets. The targets themselves are paper drawings that are fixed to the screen.
Lock. So you don't change your cartridge.
It's
you change
basically just like putting Post-its,
on a magnifying glass.
No, on like the desk, the old desktop or
Oh,
like
those are, like,
television
bouncing around to the
screensaver.
corners.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
I love
that.
it.
But
I love it.
oh my God.
Yeah.
We could make this game.
Yeah. Yeah. So that didn't sound that great, but that was the first one. In 1950, mathematician and engineer Claude Shannon
No.
proposed that computers could be programmed to play chess, and he questioned whether this could mean that a computer could think.
Ooh.
This prompted research regarding artificial intelligence.
It's a scary question. Can they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's scary.
Yeah, especially scary in 1950 because there
Yeah.
was like one computer ever and it fit in like a gymnasium.
Right.
Imagine that coming at you.
And the whole purpose of it was to kill the Russians.
Yeah. Or
And then-
fire missiles at paper targets on the screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're just going to label this Post-it Moscow.
Visualize it.
Don't worry about us.
It's all part of the game.
Havana. Okay.
Oh, no.
So a lot of the later and more popular games were developed after hours at industrial labs and universities by like bored students and technical staff. So once people kind of figured out that they could do this kind of thing, it was simple enough that like, electrical engineers all over would just be like, I'm bored. I'm going to create my own little Pong game.
Cute.
This is from my lover, Encyclopedia Britannica. For example, in 1958, William A. Higginbotham of the Brookhaven National Laboratory in New York used an analog computer, control boxes, and an oscilloscope to create a game called Tennis for Two as part of a public display for visitors to the laboratory. So it's kind of like look what we can do. This is kind of cool.
Is it basically just a Pong, but back and forth between animated tennis rackets?
It's like way more primitive than Pong. I'll put that picture on the drive too. Only a few years later in 1962, Steve Russell, Alan Kotok, J. Martin Greats, and others created a game called Space War! At the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Ever heard of it? This game began as a demonstration program to show off the PDP-1, which is the Programmed Data Processor 1 mini computer. So it was just probably
How
still
mini
a
was
massive
it?
fucking
3
computer.
Olympic swimming pools.
Yeah. And these were donated by Digital Equipment Corporation to MIT and the new precision CRT display Type 30 that was attached to it. So this
Will we never
had
be
a-
free of CRT?
This is so many numbers, you guys.
it was basically, it had a display. It had the monitor.
Okay.
So it was a computer and a monitor, and they were probably fucking massive still, because again, it's 62.
Right.
This new technology appealed to the hacker culture of the Tech Model Railroad Club on MIT's campus, and its authors were members of this group. So it was the first hacker group. Like what?
So I love knowing, confirmed through history that it's the nerds. It's always the nerds.
It's just, it's folks who understood both computers and erector sets.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're the most powerful.
So their motto was like something along the lines of information should be free. So they were kind of in tune to this new technology and like what computers could mean for society. And they got ahead of it. And so they learned all about computers and all that stuff just to kind of, it sounds like they played a very big role in freedom of information as computers evolved.
It also sounds really scary to be on like the forefront of computer technology Because, like, I know what Kenyon was saying about how in, 30 years or whatever, we're going to be the, like, people who need a jitterbug.
Yeah.
Luddites.
Yes, but the only reason why I feel like that's not true is because the leap from in the era that Lucy's talking about right now, from
Nothing.
no kind of computer technology really anywhere other than like very basic, maybe for home appliances or something like that, but not on the scale that even this like MIT creation or whatever was. It went from so little, and then the growth from that computer to even now has been so rapid that like we're so used to it because we were raised in an era of this rapid change, but to have been alive when it went from 0 to fucking 1 million overnight.
Think about Helen.
Oh my God, my grandmother lived through that.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
That's
20th
so scary.
century saw so much like exponential technological evolution that, to
And
your
I don't-
point, I think that we're kind of past this cusp of like, we're
the
never
fear
gonna
reverence.
be completely not understanding it. Like,
yeah,
like
I
from
don't know.
pen and
It's-
paper to,
exactly.
iPads.
Because it's not like the discoveries are mundane by any stretch of the imagination that we're making now. I think we're just like, as a society, just like, yeah, all right, man.
Yeah,
We're
like,
tired of it.
We
Yeah, we're
expect
sick of
things
it.
to change and become
Constantly.
wild.
We log into a new
Technology.
fucking version of Facebook every 6 days from the span of like 2007 until like 2015. I will go
I'm
back
over
and look
it.
at. I'll look at my on this day, and every day it's just a status that's like, fucking Facebook is changing again, and nobody knows what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
We're just so used to it. We're over it. We hate it. We're done. I'm ready for a plateau.
I miss my wall. I don't want a news feed. I want my wall back.
Mm-hmm.
Build the wall.
Oh my God. Stop doing that as a joke.
Jesus.
The Facebook wall. I miss it.
Make America wall again.
Okay.
I am not wall.
We need to get that merch. We need to actually do it.
Oh, I'm working on it. Okay. So the hacker group. They wrote software and built control boxes that gave players the ability to move spaceships. So this is back to the space war game. Gave players the ability to move spaceships about on accurate star maps, maneuvering and firing space torpedoes at each other. Space War was distinctly a product of MIT computing. Several years
They
later,
made a game and it's still like educational.
Space War?
the nerds.
Like, no, they're like, let's attack each other on a real star map
yeah,
on our computer.
an accurate
It's
representation
your
of the
dad.
constellations.
I can picture my
I know.
dad.
Your
so
dad was in that model railroad.
Your dad invented Space War.
He did it. He wasn't that fucking smart, but he was totally in model
Yeah.
railroad.
Yeah, he would have.
Model rail.
If he had gotten the invite, he would have been there.
Oh,
yeah.
would have been president within a month.
He was bitter because he never got the secret invitation.
Yeah.
All right, several years
Someone
later,
posthumously give him that title.
several years later in 1971, an electrical engineer named Nolan Bushnell created the first arcade-style game, Kenyon's favorite, called Computer Space, which is basically a coin-operated version of Space War inside a futuristic-looking cabinet that, like, took coins.
Yes. See, already better.
You guys,
Already.
computer. We leapt from Space Wars to computer space.
Oh, the names get worse.
What a leap. What a quantum leap.
A year later, he went on to co-found the Atari Corporation, which created Pong, which inspired Pac-Man, and so on and so on. By the end of the 70s, the industry began producing more complicated interactive fiction type games that defined a virtual space, one of which...
No.
You're not even ready for this.
No.
One of the first of which was called...
I don't know if I can do this.
What? Space computer?
Hunt the Wumpus.
What?
Hunt the Wumpus. It sounds like a gross sex game.
It reminds me, Lucy, of our PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, the Puff Wump.
Yeah, Wiggly Giggly Puff Wumps.
Oh my
What
God.
on earth
So
is happening? I am too high for this.
In 7th grade, we had to create a PowerPoint. It was like
Slow down.
It was like a 2-week project of like teaching us how to create PowerPoints.
And like describe an invention.
And we had to like
no.
create a toy, right?
No.
And then like market the toy basically
No.
through this PowerPoint. And Lucy and I were partners and we created the Wiggly Giggly Puff Wump, which was like a lollipop with like a candy vapor
You invented vaping?
stick. Like
Well-
the stick was like a candy vapor and whatever.
And the
so then
way it was illustrated.
we worked on this for 2 full weeks.
No.
And then presented to the class. And then the moment it was up on the bigger screen,
No.
we both realized in unison in the same moment that it was just a spermatozoa.
super looked like a sperm. And we didn't even think about it till we were doing
So
our
you saw it and
presentation.
gorged.
Presenting.
We
and
were
our
Yeah.
frozen.
our name for it was Wiggly Giggly Puff Wump.
Yeah, I didn't miss that part. That y'all are insane.
So yeah, hunt the Wumpus.
Hunt the Wumpus. Jesus Christ.
We both froze in front of the class.
I couldn't
just
stop
like
laughing. We had to like cut it short because we could not finish our presentation. Pretty sure Mrs. Lee was like, "You can sit down now."
Please sit down.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Hunt the
Fucking
Wumpus.
phenomenal-ish.
Then we've got Atari consoles, shit like that. Then IBM and Apple gave us personal computers where games continued to flourish and evolve. And then once the internet was widespread, we got multiplayer games that grew into as much a platform for social interaction as for structured gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get into meta because I don't fucking get it.
It's too scary. Don't
I-
get it. It's too scary.
I don't
It's not
care.
fucking worth it.
I don't
I
like
just
it.
don't care. It'll never be a part of my life. I'm saying that right now.
Famous
No, the
last
only-
words.
I want it to be a part of my death. I want to go full that episode of Black Mirror where they upload their consciousness so they can fall in love on that fucking retirement virtual reality.
Haven't seen all of Black Mirror because it freaks
Oh.
me out too much and I have bad dreams.
To my core.
Yeah.
Okay, so video games obviously have impacted a whole hell of a lot in our world today. And there's something called gamification. Have you heard of this?
Maybe? I don't know. I don't think I have.
It's adding game mechanics into non-game environments. So like
okay.
a non-game environment like a website, online community, learning management system, or business's intranet to increase participation and collaboration.
Is that like when you're like just trying to shop online and then there's like the spinning wheel where it's like,
Yep.
give us your email address and you could get 20% off?
Absolutely.
Fucking hate that.
So
Okay.
examples of game mechanics may include points, levels, missions, leaderboards, badges, and progress. Game dynamics refer to a set of emotions, behaviors, and desires found in game mechanics that resonate with people. So examples being competition through leaderboards, collaboration by completing team missions, community by seeing other participants on a news feed, collection when earning unique badges, and surprises by unlocking new missions.
This is like literally if we applied Best Fiends world to the real world, you'd get all those things. Why I love Best Fiends so much.
Yep.
I like the Audible badges because I like being like, oh, I did listen to that many books this month or whatever. And then
That's
for
gamification of
Yeah.
Audible.
and
Duolingo.
Oh my God, Duolingo. I was like,
Speaking Gaelic.
I know, I need to get back into it.
Yep.
Every time that comes up, your response is, I know, I need to get back into it.
I was making
Every
such good
time.
progress, and then I just
We
stopped.
know. You kept us very up to date. we were with you every
super
step of the
know.
way.
I'm gonna get my golden owl. I'm going to gamify Duolingo.
Oh my God.
They gamified themselves.
So
They did that.
Game dynamics are used with game mechanics to foster engagement and motivate participants, obviously. And this sounds like some bullshit corporate appeal to millennials. But once you understand it, you start seeing it fucking everywhere. Like it's already ingrained in our culture. Mm-hmm. So an example that I thought of, which was a little bit of a stretch, but I was trying to think of like something ridiculous where I can see some gamification, is with my city's waste management system. God. They have an optional audit that you can opt into where they check your recycling bin. And when you get enough points, like if you, like they take away points if you recycle shit that's not supposed to be recycled. Mm. And you get stuff by like having super clean containers in there and stuff like that. You get enough points and you earn a yellow lid. So if you drive around the city on recycling day, the yellow lids are like the super recyclers.
The VIPs.
That is out of control, and I can tell how much you want a yellow lid.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I really do.
Is that your goal is that your New Year's resolution?
I can only do it in the summertime because accessing my recycling in the winter is such a pain in the dick. I just can't even. Anyway, I have a tuck under garage with a very narrow driveway. It's a pain. I make Corey do it. Anyway, so that's an example of gamification, I think.
This is like that scene in Parks and Recreation where they're trying to convince Pawnee to allow them to put fluoride in the water, and Sweetums wants to just pour like sweet sugary beverages as the privatized water supply, where like Gatorade comes out of the taps basically. And the only way that Leslie could convince the town was by like teaming up with Tom Haverford to gamify. They didn't use this word, but that's exactly what they did.
Just
they
like
gamified the fluoride.
water.
Well, yeah, keeping water and putting fluoride in it, so they called it like Sparkle Club or something, and you like connect like, you know, like Grizzle Bots or whatever, like when you drink this water and unlock 500 Grizzle Bots, and then you just graduated to the Sparkle Club. And then it's like, make it to XYZ elite status, and you get a plain blue t-shirt. And everybody in the room just starts like screaming and freaking out. They're so excited. I'm like, I didn't know what gamification was. Now I know exactly what the fuck it is. That's so cool and terrifying. I love it.
We're all just children. We all want to get a star on our homework or whatever, our chore chart.
The human brain is actually not unique at all, and everybody is a little competitive. Everybody gets a dose of serotonin when they beat someone else or win a game. We're very simple.
We're so fucking simple and so predictable. I love it.
So speaking of human brains, video games are frequently associated with psychological functioning. So
you're welcome.
This is a segment from a German study from 2019, which questioned 2,734 individuals on personality and psychological health and their video game habits. So in conclusion, it said, potentially problematic video gaming was found to be associated with positive affect and social relationships while playing, but also with psychological symptoms, maladaptive coping strategies, negative affectivity, low self-esteem, a preference for solitude, which I don't see a problem with, and poor school performance.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
A person's reason for playing, as well as the preferred genre of game, are important to factor into the potential problematic psychological impairments. So all of this said, video games should not be labeled as good or bad.
Right.
So this is from psychologicalscience.com. Social gaming in particular can positively influence well-being, especially when the games involve cooperative elements that encourage positive interactions, whether with other players or non-player characters in the world of the game, like your villagers in Animal Crossing. They're my friends. I get sad when they ask to leave.
Yep, me too. It's real sad.
It's only when individuals begin to play obsessively or for escapism and a sense of achievement that gaming's deleterious effects begin to creep in. People also need in-person social support for healthy cognitive function. So if someone is playing so many games that they don't have literal time for face-to-face interaction, that's a problem in itself and not directly tied to the activity of gaming.
Right. It's just like anything. Everything in moderation.
Mm-hmm. It's also a common misconception that violent video games, like the shooter games, increase real-world aggression in children and adolescents, but findings on that remain controversial and inconclusive. Quote, in a meta-analysis,
It's happening.
of 101 studies on video games and aggression in Perspectives and Psychological Science, Christopher J. Ferguson from Stetson University found violent and nonviolent video games to have a minimal impact on children's and adolescents' well-being as measured in terms of aggression, pro-social behavior, academic performance, and symptoms of depression and attention deficit disorders.
I do think, though, that I mean, obviously, I'm a person, and this is completely just my opinion and anecdotal, whatever. But I do think that, like, they contribute to a larger culture that includes other things besides video games, like all of our media, basically.
It definitely
news,
can. Like,
everything.
The, like, white supremacy and anti-Semitism and all these, like, really fucked up, very right-wing social, like, subcultures. Not all, like Kenyon said, but some do really find each other playing games like fucking Call of Duty and shit like that.
There's
and they
that,
form
yeah.
like
Well, it's
bonds
a
and
social
friendships over the
platform.
internet. Yeah.
It's big.
Yeah.
You say the same thing about Reddit.
Yeah, and then
Right.
you can literally like get together with your friends and go online and play this video game where you like collect all of the most insane guns and like go around and
Exactly.
fucking shoot people. So
Well-
like the combination of those things could be really fucked up.
Right. I
My-
think it desensitizes people, and I think it glorifies not just violence, because like lots of things glorify violence, including things that like I also enjoy, like movies, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it does glorify like guns,
Mm-hmm.
but so does a lot of other things in our society.
Right.
You know what I mean?
As my notes go on to say, social and cultural contexts appear to have a much bigger impact on a person's proclivities towards violence. Quote, through a longitudinal study of 165 young men, Ferguson and colleagues found that symptoms of depression, antisocial personality traits, exposure to family violence, and peer influences, but not exposure to violent video games, predicted aggression and instances of dating violence over a 3-year period. So to your point, there is possibly an element of desensitization. There's all those things, the glorification, all that is totally valid what you said.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically, violent video games do not contribute to antisocial
Yeah,
behaviors.
not
It's
the end-all,
correlation, not
be-all.
causation.
Yeah.
Or it could be one piece of causation amongst many.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't really make sense to like totally scapegoat it like a lot of our parents' generation did when we were growing up.
Oh, it was
It was
bad.
like- it was
I
like-
mentioned it a little bit in my case, but like it was fucking the satanic
was-
panic of the 90s.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
But what was I gonna say? Fuck, I can't remember. I also wonder though if like and maybe studies are out there that exist to like track this, but like I feel like parents whose values don't align with like the values of certain video games are going to be more restrictive about like their kids accessing those games.
Right.
But then how do you unpick the effects of like the kid playing that game versus the kid growing up in a house with like broader cultural values that are aligned with that game? You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like if a house like when I was growing up, I didn't care about video games, but also I wasn't allowed to play them really. So my mom was like, no, they're too violent, blah, 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 guns. Like I was never allowed to even like play with like a fake gun or like a squirt gun or whatever. Because she hates guns. And like I also hate guns now as an adult. But in other households where like guns are totally fine and part of that family's cultural identity, then playing video games that involve a lot of guns could also be considered fine. And so then it's like, how do you tell the difference between the effect of like the family's culture is fine with guns more broadly versus like playing this video game?
Well, that's kind of why these studies were so wide-ranging because
There's too many contributing factors.
There are
You
way
can't-
too many
You
contributing
can't
factors.
isolate it to just the video game and the response because of the cause and effect.
And that's why none of those studies had conclusive results because it's impossible to isolate that.
Right.
But in and of itself, video games, even violent video games, don't show to be a significant
cause,
contributing factor to antisocial or violent behaviors.
Right.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
unless somebody
there are-
becomes addicted. But
there
that's
are-
true of anything.
There are also enough other factors to offset any sort of ideas that a person might have as in terms of the desensitizing and the glorification and things like that before a person would actually act on those values. So not only are video games not inherently bad for mental health, they can actually be good for cognitive function. And this is from the APA. While one widely held view maintains that playing video games is intellectually lazy, they've obviously never played Best Fiends.
Clearly.
Such play actually may strengthen a range of cognitive skills such as spatial navigation, reasoning, memory, and perception. This is particularly true for shooter video games, which are often violent. A 2013 meta-analysis found that playing shooter
Not
video
what that
games...
means.
I know, I just don't
It is
like it.
now. Zuckerberg ruins everything.
I know that's
Including
not
this.
really what that means.
I know.
Found that playing shooter video games improved a player's capacity to think about objects in three dimensions just as well as academic courses designed to enhance these same skills. This enhanced thinking was not found when playing other types of video games, such as puzzles or role-playing games.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
They're valuable.
Yep. Well, I mean, like, look at the military. There's a lot of training that goes on.
That's virtual.
Yeah.
Virtual reality,
That's
basically.
basically video games. Yeah.
So that's my segment.
Interesting.
Really something.
Well done. All right.
Thanks.
Well, are we ready for my case?
Potentially.
It's not very dark.
Well, it's not, because I did the fanfic case.
Yeah.
On purpose.
But it's dark in the sense of capitalism ruins everything.
Great.
Oh, yeah. Realistic dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So one Friday morning in the fall of 2016, great vintage, people across the eastern seaboard began to notice something strange. When they went to access websites that had become part of their daily routines, they found that many of them were down, from Spotify to Reddit to Twitter to Netflix to the New York Times.
I remember this.
Yeah, this was kind of freaky. It soon became clear that these simultaneous outages were no coincidence. The websites had fallen victim to what was known as a distributed denial of service attack, or I don't know, I think you say DDoS?
Let's say it.
DDoS is just how I said it.
DDoS.
DDoS it is.
DDoS. I don't know. If that
DDoS.
ticks you off, then we'll DDoS about it.
Ticks me to DOS.
Ooh, I don't know what wine that is, but it's past her prime.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so specifically, the attack had targeted a tech company called Din, or maybe Dynasty.
We don't
Say
know how to
Dynasty.
say anything.
Duck Dynasty.
Got it.
Which
Deduct Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty, which had provided a range of services that made it a key part of the internet's backbone. No big deal. But this was far from the first such major DDoS attack.
Uh-oh.
In France, an internet service provider called OVH, Jonathan Van Ness, had recently experienced a similarly crippling attack. DDoS attacks are not necessarily uncommon, but ones on like this massive scale are. So in America in the fall of 2016, such an attack was of particular concern as the country was only weeks away from one of the most contentious political elections in its history. Yep. Followed only by the one after it.
This podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, launched this podcast. That election did.
Millennials have lived through enough world-changing events.
We don't need meta.
We're good.
2 elections where the winner lost the popular vote. It's fine. Reports of attempted foreign interference in the election process were already rampant, but not studied by fucking James Comey, who instead decided to announce that he was relaunching an investigation into Hillary Clinton, but it's fine. And the successful attack on such a huge swath of the internet stoked fears that a foreign entity might be able to tamper with the technology involved in voting machines.
Mm-hmm.
As investigators worked to trace the source of the attack, it was at first almost universally agreed that whoever was responsible was already a major player on the global stage. They were just like, anyone that could shut down fucking Reddit, Twitter, Spotify, and the New York Times all at the same time has got to already be.
Well, and they were looking into groups like Anonymous, but I don't think even Anonymous had taken down that many entities at once. Whether or not they have the capability to do it, they usually pretty specifically target like one major disruption. So this was like a huge deal because it was so many simultaneous networks that were not owned and operated by the same umbrella company.
Right. They were not on the same network at all.
Mm-hmm.
So as one expert stated soon after the attack, quote, "We don't know who is doing this, but it feels like a large nation state. China or Russia would be my first guesses."
Ugh.
And like both have government funded. I mean, so do we. So does the US, like government funded hackers and cyber spies and whatever. And also like private ones that the government kind of looks the other way for, as long as they're attacking the right people.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth turned out to be much, much stranger.
Oh my God.
As cybersecurity
remember.
experts worked to trace the source of the attack, they definitively tied it to a powerful malware called Mirai. The name Mirai comes from the Japanese word for future and was likely named after an anime series called Mirai Nikki. By the time the Duck Dynasty attack occurred, Mirai had already been on the FBI's radar for several months. In addition to the attack on France's internet, Mirai had also been responsible for a targeted attack on the website of an internet security reporter named Brian Krebs. So there
Brian Gumble.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. Walter Cronkite.
At yahoo.com.
Yeah, he's an AOL.
He's a Yahoozer.
Oh my God. So the combination of these two attacks made investigators take notice of this new malware, which was much more powerful than anything they had seen before. So from the initial attacks, we realized, this is a quote, "We realized that something was very different from your normal DDoS," according to Doug Klein, an FBI agent who worked on the case. So they're like seeing this new malware pop up. It's doing big things. It's fucking up shit in France. And then it's fucking up this like cyber investigative reporter. And they're like, we got to keep an eye on this because this is very powerful.
Yeah, Brian Gumble was not having it. Nobody takes away his mahjong.
Nobody puts Brian Gumble in a corner.
And Mirai wasn't just powerful, it was cunningly designed, and one might even say elegant in its simplicity.
Okay.
The way it worked was by scanning the so-called Internet of Things, basically any physical object that connects to the internet.
Like a fucking refrigerator.
For devices that still used the manufacturer's default security settings, which is like a lot of fucking devices. Because,
Oh, yeah. Who messes with that shit?
Right. Yeah. Since it was very common for users to never change default usernames and passwords, like even on their Wi-Fi networks, like the Wi-Fi routers.
My router is definitely the name and password it came with.
Yeah. It's, I mean, yeah. It's better than password 123, I guess, unless you're this malware. Mirai was able to amass a powerful arsenal of weaponized electronics, which had been hijacked without their owners ever suspecting anything.
Yeah, because who's gonna like change the password on their like refrigerator
Or even your
Their
like
smart
washing
fridge.
machine now.
But also that kind of shit that's like your Ring doorbell or like your interior, like a lot of parents have like
all on-
cameras
yeah.
in their kids' playrooms and shit. It's scary.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And it's all on one central network in your home.
Yep.
So
They can control all of your shit, your panic room doors.
Yup.
It would later be determined that Mirai infected nearly 65,000 devices in the first 20 hours of its existence and soon grew to an estimated 600,000 infections.
Oh
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
They definitely watched me poop. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
If I was targeted, that's the only footage you got, pal.
This phone has seen a
My
lot.
My smart fridge is in my bathroom, so fuck you.
Got a smart bidet. You're welcome.
Up close and personal.
Equipped with camera so I can make sure everything's clean. Not my fault you hacked in there.
So these infected devices could then be used to launch targeted attacks by directing an unanticipated flood of network clogging traffic to specific websites. So they're not, this specific attack wasn't trying to like see through your Ring doorbell or like hear what you're saying in your living room.
Right.
It was just taking whatever device it could get a hold of, and that device was still functioning for the user, doing whatever it's supposed to do. But at the same time, they were using it to connect to Reddit or whatever and just flood these specific websites with so
Like
much
clog their servers and
unanticipated
shit.
traffic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they were just using it as a means to an end, not to control your fridge or whatever.
Correct. Yeah. So one source described it as akin to targeting a small sandwich shop by sending 300 people in there at the same time unexpectedly, which is incidentally also what Corey's family did to him when he opened his restaurant.
That was a targeted malware attack on the shelves.
It super was. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Y'all were
They're trying to
stressed.
take us down.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, we're supporting you. No, you're not. This is too much traffic.
It's that hug hurts too much. You're hugging too hard.
Get back in your caravan.
Yeah.
Go
Can we just
home.
sprinkle this out?
Come back at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday, please.
So according to FBI investigator Elliot Peterson, DDoS, quote, DDoS at a certain scale poses an existential threat to the internet. Mirai was the first botnet I've seen that hit that existential level. So if other attacks like this happen and they can control millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of devices
it's
versus
almost like this was-
600,000.
It's almost like this was just a practice run to see if they could do it.
Take the internet down.
Yeah, because really all they were doing was clogging servers so that it was creating mass inconvenience, but it wasn't actually breaching data walls or in that case. It was just making things annoying.
It was a dry run.
It really makes you wonder what kind of tech they're testing out.
Well, we will get to the reason why they were doing it, and it wasn't just to fuck with people, but that was a big part of it. So, but even as the threat of Mirai was clear, whoever was behind it and their motivations remained a mystery. So this despite the fact that it seemed that whoever had created the malware was bragging about it on hacker message boards using the name Anna Senpai, which is another anime reference. And like, it's believed that those messages on those hacker boards were legit and not just like random people trying to
like
claim
a
credit.
fake person, getting internet points.
Yeah. And although the FBI had been following Mirai's development, it wasn't until the attack on Brian Krebs, the reporter, on
Brian
his
Gumbel.
website, that they seriously prioritized tracking down its creator, because like there are a lot of fucking different malware things that happen, and they can't track them all.
No.
So according to Peterson, quote, "This is a strange development, a journalist being silenced because someone has figured out a tool powerful enough to silence him. That is worrisome." So the fact that this malware was being used to target this specific journalist was like,
Significant.
piqued the FBI's interest. So as the FBI began to focus their investigation, they began to notice something unexpected. Specifically, Peterson recalls asking, quote, "Why are these Minecraft servers getting hit so often?"
Uh-oh.
Which we didn't talk about at the top, but like along with these other big websites, it was a lot of Minecraft getting hit. And although this focus on Minecraft may at first seem silly, the game actually makes up a pretty massive chunk of the internet. Minecraft, a sandbox game with no set objective.
Yep, you just build stuff.
I don't know anything about Minecraft.
Straight up just like, okay, you know what, Lucy, you do know something about Minecraft without knowing it. It's kind of like in Animal Crossing when you go into the creator studio, how you can make your own designs.
Oh, yeah, I don't like doing
And then
that.
put
It's
them
too
on shirts.
complicated.
Yeah, I'm really bad at it too, but Minecraft is sort of built like that, where it's like pixelized, but also in 3D, and you're building structures with blocks of like not any different shapes, but you can get different colors and textures and things.
It's like Legos.
Yeah, it's like online Legos in a massive connected online community where you can like visit each other's worlds and see what they've built.
What?
Like
It is like Animal Crossing.
You know how you were talking about kids who are like into erector sets?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's that kind of shit. It's like building stuff from scratch with a very specific set of limited materials and seeing how like vast and creative you can get.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about Minecraft. If you had asked me, I would have thought it was like a shooter.
I thought it was like
Game.
I thought it was one of those games you could play on your graphing calculator.
I mean, maybe it originated like that. I don't know.
Boobs, snake.
I have no idea.
Legit, what I thought
Boobless.
Minecraft was.
Boobless.
That was the big one. That was
Yeah.
the big one.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, God.
Hello. What was that? 43110 or whatever?
I don't know.
Well, it was
Hello.
zero. It was zero. Wait, it would have had to have been point because it was upside down, so it was backwards.
I don't know.
0.01134. Anyway,
So-
we're smart.
So Minecraft, a sandbox game with no set objective.
Yeah, that's not
Sounds
wrong.
fascinating. Makes up a huge chunk of the internet. It is the second best-selling video game ever, behind only Tetris.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, literally anyone of any age can play it because it's like children play it and adults play it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has 122 million registered users, larger than the entire country of Egypt.
I'm just picturing the country of Egypt playing Minecraft.
Everyone in Egypt sitting
No
down and playing
exceptions.
Minecraft.
All day long, every day. It has been estimated that 55 million people play Minecraft each month, with as many as 1 million online at any given time. So that's a lot of servers to
Yep.
like keep that machine running.
And they're all these players are talking to each other, so it's not like just in your device.
So the massive usership and the nature of the game has made it a platform where certain entrepreneurial users are able to make significant money. Individual hosted servers, which allow users to link together in multiplayer mode. Is this like a LAN party?
It's not a LAN party because they're not on the same network. It's like online play though.
Okay.
A LAN party is like when you're all in the same room, right? So you're
yeah,
all
you're like
connected
in
to
the same room, plugged into the
server.
same server.
Well, whatever. Okay, so they're on individual hosted servers and they link together in multiplayer mode.
So
They're
maybe
able-
that is kind of like a remote LAN.
Yeah. Are able to create their own subtly different versions of the game by setting their own rules and installing their own plugins. So they can be like, I feel like it's like when you play poker and you're like, okay, now we're going to do Texas Hold'em, but with Minecraft.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
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 So these servers vary widely in size. Some host a half dozen friends, who are just like playing together as buddies. And then others will host tens of thousands of strangers, and they're like competitions and whatever. So players then can pay real money to join these specific versions of the game, as well as paying to purchase things like in-game tools that are specific to a certain server.
Okay.
Also, what's that other game that you... Fortnite.
Fortnite's not a building game. That's sort of like a shooting game.
Right, but you can like buy things in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So Peterson recalls that after digging into the financials of some of these Minecraft hosts, quote, I went into my boss's office and said, am I crazy? It looks like people are making a ton of money. These people at the peak of summer were making $100,000 a month.
Oh
From,
my
like-
God.
Why the fuck are we podcasters?
Because we don't know how to do this. Maybe
Oh,
you
that's
could.
right.
Insane
I couldn't.
amount of money.
I can barely even describe what I read about it.
You're doing a great job, but I could not do this. That was
So-
very kind of you to say maybe I could, but you are so far off base.
Yeah.
So these people are like programming different products to sell to other players. They're digital products.
No, they're not like
No.
creating them from scratch, as far as I understand. But you can like, I don't know exactly how they do it in game
I don't.
on what's it called? Fortnite, because
Minecraft.
I've never played it, but like it's the way I imagine it is you could probably like buy or purchase upgrades to like gear in games like that, and that there might be an in-game store. Because even with like Nintendo, you can buy like Nintendo coin credits for your Nintendo account, so you can buy things in game or download new games and stuff through your account.
Mm-hmm.
So I
I'm
wonder if there's stuff
picturing,
like that in
like-
some of these.
like with Animal Crossing, you all have different islands, right?
Mhm.
So imagine if somebody had like a really dope island that a lot of people wanted to visit, and you wanted to visit that island, but you had to like pay the troll toll to be able to visit that island to play for the day.
Like the
Okay.
Danny DeVito Island.
Okay, sure. So that's what I'm picturing. Like
Okay.
it's like a cool little club that exists within the overarching game,
Okay, online play. Okay.
right?
I'm
All right,
fine
sure.
with accepting the idea that we're totally wrong and we can just
Yeah,
whatever.
think
It
what
doesn't
we
matter.
think.
Everything is dust.
Right. So, and the lucrative nature of hosting Minecraft servers brings us back to these DDoS attacks. So, these attacks became common in Minecraft as a way to lure users away from a competitor by slowing down another server enough so that players would grow frustrated with that server and leave and bounce and go to the desired server.
Okay, so they're like
sabotage.
luring people. Yeah, they're sabotaging.
They're like
They're redirecting traffic.
they're redirecting traffic. It's like in the Italian Job when it's like, but what if we had all green lights?
Yeah.
And
Got
then
it.
they
Okay.
turn it to all red lights for Edward Norton.
Okay,
That
got
is
it,
an
got it, got it,
excellent
got it.
comparison. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. It all circles back to the Italian Job.
Oh, yeah.
Everything does. Been saying it for years.
So once this connection to the game was established, all the pieces began to fall into place for the FBI investigators. So it turned out that the French internet host that had been attacked, Jonathan Van Ness, OVH, was known for offering a service
What does
called
that have to do with?
Nothing.
Okay.
It's just
She
in
just
my
thinks
brain.
it sounds like JVN,
Yeah.
so she keeps reading.
They
it
are
like
three
it's-
letters.
It's very similar.
Yep. Was known for offering a service called VAC, whose primary purpose was to Jonathan Van Ness, whose primary purpose was to protect against DDoS attacks on Minecraft. So they realized that the reason this French attack happened wasn't just testing the waters in France against this one fucking company. It was actually targeting that firm because that firm was preventing their Minecraft fuckery.
Oh, so they wanted to take it down
Yes.
to turn that light from red to green.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the attackers were presumably not trying to wipe out the internet of a major European country. They were just trying to take down a service that made it harder to successfully attack other Minecraft servers.
There
It's
it
a
is.
victimless crime.
So investigators began finding other Minecraft links all over Mirai. So they're like, oh my God, it's all related to Minecraft.
It all adds up the red string.
Yeah, exactly. According to one
all
source.
connected, man.
All roads lead to Rome
Minecraft.
in Italy and the Italian job.
Oh, right.
Quote, Mirai was originally developed to help them corner the Minecraft market, but then they realized what a powerful tool they built. Then it just became a challenge for them to make it as large as possible. So then they were like, oh, this is actually really fucking good, and let's see like how much we can fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
On September 30th, 2016, after Mirai began getting significant media coverage following the French attack and the journalist Brian Krebs attack, the creator of Mirai posted the malware's source code to the website Hack Forum.
Mm-hmm.
This was clearly a strategic move to create plausible deniability should they be caught possessing the source code. It was now widely available online and anyone could possess it, so then they're just trying to like cover their tracks a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The release of the source code also had the effect, though, of opening the malware to much, much wider use.
Oops.
Now anybody
They're
could
losing
play with
control of it.
Nope.
Between September of 2016 and February of 2017, when this podcast launched, Mirai was responsible for at least 15,194 DDoS attacks.
Oh, that's a lot. Those are a lot of attacks.
Yeah.
You know I get attacks.
So the FBI was able to ultimately trace Mirai to a 21-year-old Rutgers student
Of course.
From nerd.
from
Some
suburban
nerd.
New Jersey
Some nerd. Some brilliant
He's got
fucking nerd.
some nerd.
He's got some nerd.
named Paras Jah and two of his college-age friends named Josiah White and Dalton Norman. All of these sound like fucking fake names.
Dalton Norman. The king of nerds.
The nerdiest name.
Fucking king nerd over here.
Dalton Norman.
Dalton Norman.
So White and Dalton Norman lived outside of
cannot with
Pittsburgh
Dalton Norman.
and New Orleans, respectively. Paras Jah, the first one, the one from suburban New Jersey, was a computer savant from a young age.
No shit.
And he supposedly wrote the original source code and was the face of the malware online. And he was the one posting with the anime names on the hacker forums.
Mm-hmm. This has such QAnon documentary vibes,
Totally.
doesn't it? If you haven't watched that documentary on HBO,
It's unbelievable.
it's so good.
Got big nerd energy.
Mm-hmm.
BNE.
BNE.
So he was like the main guy, but then the other two guys played specific roles in enhancing Mirai, basically.
Mm-hmm.
All three were detained by the FBI and questioned about their roles in the attacks. The arrest of Paras Jah also solved a long-running mystery for Rutgers University.
Yeah.
That's why everyone got A's that semester.
Wait a minute. We had a lot of valedictorians.
Well, for the past 2 years,
That's
their
why Amanda
online
graduated.
Wait a minute.
For the past 2 years, their online systems had been suffering from regular and crippling attacks during vital times like midterms, finals, and class registration periods.
You don't say. Well, these servers are just overloaded. I don't know.
What's going on? No other universities nearby are having these same issues.
How odd. Anyway.
Anyway.
These attacks had coincided with an unnamed individual reaching out to the university to suggest that they should purchase better DDoS mitigation services, which, as it turned out, was the exact business that Jah was trying to launch himself.
You don't
he was
say.
Green lights.
He was attacking them and then was like, hey, have you been experiencing attacks? Would you like to stop experiencing attacks?
That's
Try
some
my
problem you've
software.
got here.
I love
Just
it.
basically
That's just
like
an
a
entrepreneurial. Yeah.
I like
It's like a reverse organized crime. It'd
I
be a
love
shame
it.
if something happened to it. He just
Yeah.
like did the bad thing first.
Yep.
Brilliant.
So, as for the non-Rutgers attacks, the three young men claimed that they hadn't intended to bring down the internet.
Oops.
Yeah, that was an oopsie.
In the words of a 2017 profile in Wired magazine, quote, what drove them wasn't anarchist politics or shadowy ties to a nation state. It was Minecraft. And just money, basically.
Right.
But also Minecraft.
That's fucking amazing.
Taking down Reddit and the New York Times wasn't the goal.
No, it was a happy oopsie.
They must have woken up that morning and been like, oh, shit.
Oh, fuck. I can't log on to Spotify. So because of the nature of DDoS attacks, it was basically impossible to determine which ones they had been directly responsible for versus like other people had used their source code after they posted it. But like one of the attacks was definitely carried out by someone else. But anyway. And although Mirai was a very dangerous tool, those in the courtroom often seemed a bit baffled by the nature of the crime. It's a lot to try to explain to a jury.
Yeah. Oh my God, like that fucking Senate hearing when the lady is trying to explain Finsta.
Yeah. Will you promise to end Finsta?
Yeah, build the wall and end Finsta.
And they were just like,
oh, like a fake Instagram.
Oh.
It's
they think it's like an acronym, a shadowy acronym.
Or something, like a program.
Quote, I've certainly been made to feel very old and unable to keep up, prosecutor Adam Alexander joked. Indeed, by the time the three were arrested for their roles in using Mirai in the DDoS attacks, they had already moved on to something new and more sophisticated. So, by the time the FBI actually figured out all this shit, they had moved on to something new.
Oh, this is why we get so bored of advances in technology. Because of exactly this. It's too fucking fast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They were using their botnet, so the hundreds of thousands of user devices that they had infected and created as their own bots that they now controlled, to run an elaborate and lucrative click fraud scheme.
Love a click fraud.
Directing about 100,000 compromised devices, mostly home-run routers and modems, to visit advertising links en masse, making it appear that they were regular computer users. So they were like, great, we get paid per click. Mm-hmm. We control 100,000 microwaves, and they're all going to click this, and they all come from different households.
Then it won't look sus.
Yeah.
It won't look immediately sus. Like someone would have to look into it.
Right.
This was a plot line in Silicon Valley, that HBO
I believe
show.
it.
Yeah. So they were making, this is still a quote, they were making thousands of dollars a month defrauding U.S. and European advertisers entirely off of the radar with no one the wiser. It was, as far as investigators could tell, a groundbreaking business model for an IoT botnet.
Business model, I guess.
Wow.
If all you're measuring is clicks.
Right.
Yeah.
Get one of those.
I'm telling you, victimless crime.
The birds with the water in the belly that just tilt back and forth.
Yes, that's an episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah. It's like a virtual version of that.
Yeah. So ultimately, Ja White and Dalton Norman, all pleaded guilty to conspiracy to violate the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act for their roles in creating and using Mirai, citing their, quote, extraordinary cooperation with the government. So they sang like
canaries.
Yeah.
I mean,
they can't handle
21.
prison.
Like they're masterminds in not the criminal variety. Like they're just not. They were just like,
they're also not
go in federal prison.
Not even like hackers. Like they just wanted to make money.
Right.
And play Minecraft.
Yeah.
I get it.
They wanted to make money gaming a system that's already like
fucked,
shitty and corrupt. So like let them fucking fuck with it. So what if you have to pay under maybe sketchy circumstances
Yeah.
accompany to these fucking brilliant kids.
Also, if anybody wants to hack
hire
and make it
those
look like
kids.
we have a lot more downloads than we have,
Step right up, baby. We don't pay because we don't
we
want to
won't
go to
pay
jail.
you. But if you want to just do it for fun and not give us any information about you doing it,
Yep. Go
I'm
ahead.
fine with it. Okay.
I think you
So-
just solicited criminal activity, but
No.
Not if I don't pay for it. Okay. So a
That's
judge
how it
it's a
works.
comedy show.
You're paid in karma. So a judge sentenced the 3 men to probation, community service, and fines. So they will not be going to prison.
No.
Good.
Ja,
Yeah,
who
thank God.
received the harshest sentence, was ordered to complete 2,500 hours of community service, 6 months home confinement, which, like, haven't we all?
Sounds nice.
And
Yeah.
ordered to pay $8.6 million in restitution.
But they didn't say he
Yeah.
can never do it again, so he could probably raise that money pretty quick.
He's like, no problem, give
They
me an
didn't-
afternoon.
Yep.
How many
$100,000
microwaves
a
you
month.
got?
Yeah. How many microwaves you got? Get them all clicking.
I mean, probably what they did was like technically illegal, but it's also not really
Yeah.
their fault that there were so many areas of like that they were able to do that.
Of
That should have been
vulnerability.
stopped.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
If it were really in the wrong hands.
Well, yeah.
but Mirai is now out of its creator's hands
Yeah,
and
that's true, 'cause they
continues
released
to
the
live
source
on.
code.
So
Mm,
that's
that's
scary.
right. Yeah.
According to Justin Payne, director of a DDoS mitigation company, a legit one, not one made up by the person creating the attacks, presumably.
Not one feeling the need
Yeah.
for
Creating
the
the
need
need.
that they created.
Yeah. Called Cloudflare. Quote, there's a significant ongoing risk that's continued as the open source code has been repurposed by new actors. All these new updated versions are still out there. So change all your passwords. I say that, but like, I'm not going to do that.
Hey, hack me and click away, honey. I mean, steal my identity. You'll increase my credit. I say it all the time. Let's go.
When we were in Palm Springs, there was a TV in the house we were staying at, and my sister was logging into her Netflix so we could watch Queer Eye. And on Apple
Did your
TVs
mother freak out?
No, on Apple TVs you can just spell it, so you don't have to like type in, you know, like
Like out loud, you can spell it?
Yeah, you can just say
Yeah.
like whatever. And she was like, "Nobody listen. I don't want you to know my passwords." And I was like,
Nobody listen.
I said I put $100 down that it's the name of your cat and
Oh, yeah.
a very specific sequence of numbers. I'm not going to say it out loud. And then she just proceeds to look sad and just spell exactly what I said out loud. She's like, "I'm going to change this when I get home."
That's a true sister. Knowing exactly what that bitch's password is.
Oh, that's
The
so fucking funny.
number.
And nobody listen, mom and sister.
Nobody listen.
Cover your ears.
Oh my.
I love that whenever Bill is like in his office or like doing something too quiet in the other room when I'm
Suspiciously
shitting.
quiet.
Like
If
a
he's too
toddler.
quiet when I'm in the other room shitting, in my other room being the bathroom where I'm supposed to shit, I always just, when I close the door, I go, "Don't listen." Now I'm gonna think of Madeline's little face. Don't listen.
Spelling it into the Apple TV like remote. Kind of sad.
God,
Well, your
it's so
parents always just had the Post-it with the computer password on the computer monitor.
Yeah. They
Like
really
12
did.
years.
They
Now
really
it's on-
did have that.
Now it's on the obit cabinet behind
Yeah.
the kitchen.
Oh, thank you for giving us that update.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel like
You
it's
don't-
safer to have it written down on paper than it is to store it in like a virtual capacity.
My
I don't know.
mom's Wi-Fi password is on the tiniest little strip of paper scotch taped to the back of her television remote.
Oh my God. Mama.
Corey's parents. No, this is like wild in
They
the
are all
opposite
gonna have
direction.
fucking heart attacks that we're revealing this information. They're gonna call us and be like, "You're gonna get my identity stolen. You told everyone where my password
Corey's
is."
dad is a fucking freak, and he has everyone's social security numbers memorized. Like he remembers like number sequences, and so he has a whole random
nice.
number letter sequence password for their Wi-Fi. And nobody knows it except for him. He stores it in his head.
Nobody knows
So when someone
it
needs to
but
like
you.
connect to the internet, he like does it himself. Like nobody else knows it.
Oh my
Phenomenal.
God.
What if he has a stroke or something?
Yep. Well, you're just fucked.
Yeah, well,
All right.
I'll
Well, on
hire
that
those
note-
kids in New Jersey to just hack in.
Oh my God. Well, you're just fucked. All right. Are you ready for my case?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's the fan pick, so it's gonna be sad.
That's horrible. Why do you do this?
Vanderveen.
You beast.
You beast.
You beast. Okay. Yes, this is the fan pick case. It's super fucking sad. Here we go.
Great.
Nathan Gerard Dunlap was a troubled kid. He was born in 1974 in Chicago, Illinois, to a single mother and never knew his biological father. His mother married when Nathan was still a baby, and his stepfather officially adopted him as his own son. The family moved around a lot, spending time in Michigan and Tennessee before settling down near Aurora, Colorado in 1984 when Nathan was 10 years old.
Wait, is this that case out of Aurora, Colorado?
I don't know, because there's a lot of them, actually.
Yeah.
Aurora
Yeah.
has a very troubled past.
Yeah. All
So,
right. Okay.
Sending love.
Okay.
Mental health issues ran in the family, with Nathan's mother managing a bipolar disorder and schizophrenia diagnosis. It's likely that Nathan was suffering from similar disorders, and he actually did attempt suicide multiple times at the age of 14.
Oh.
He was recommended to the school psychiatrist and was suspected to suffer from something called hypomania, which is classified by periods of overactive and excited behavior that can have a significant impact on your day-to-day life. But there was no formal diagnosis, and this was the 80s, so understanding of things like ADHD in teens wasn't as prevalent as it was even a few years
Later.
And
later.
like crazy medications for things because
Right.
they didn't fucking understand them.
It's also important to point out that Nathan is a young boy of color, so it's likely that his needs were not properly addressed because of systemic racism. So, I mean, there could have been a diagnosis that was more significant. There could have been methods to manage his mental health.
Time and systemic
Yep.
problems are stacking up against this. boy.
Correct. They absolutely are. Which does not forgive what happens in this case, but these are just, important things to mention.
Okay.
So he started to engage in dangerous activities, getting picked up several times at the age of 15 for armed robbery, and he spent a lot of time in and out of juvenile detention as well as psychiatric hospitals. I am not sure how he gained access to a firearm. I did not see that in my research, but he got one. So
Probably won one in a fucking vending machine.
raffle.
This
Yeah.
is America.
Yeah, got one at a Taco Bell drive-thru.
Mm-hmm.
In May of 1993, he was hired at Chuck E. Cheese in Aurora to work in the kitchen. The job seemed to be going well for several months, but a scheduling dispute led to his supervisor firing him from the restaurant. Nathan made it known that he was angry about this and felt that his termination was unfair, but would still stop by the restaurant to say hello to his friends and former coworkers. It didn't seem like things were heading in a tragic direction, despite Nathan being frustrated with the loss of his job.
Yeah, the fact that he could still show up and not cause an incident would make one think that he's not
a
he can't be
disgruntled-
that disgruntled. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
But a few weeks after his termination, and at this point, Nathan's 19 years old, so he's still really young. Nathan returned to the restaurant after hours. On the night of December 14th, 1993, he entered the building, so around 9 p.m., which is close to closing. He ordered a ham and cheese sandwich and then made his way to the arcade to play games. Just before 10 p.m. closing time, Nathan went into the restroom and hid until the front doors were locked up, knowing there would still be employees inside cleaning up for the night. And this part is fucking horrific, so I'm just going to try to get through it. He was armed with a .25 caliber semi-automatic handgun. He exited the bathroom and shot Sylvia Crowell, a 19-year-old employee who was shutting down the salad bar for the night. He then turned the gun on Ben Grant, 17 years old, who was vacuuming the carpet. Colleen O'Connor, also 17, dropped to the floor and put her hands up. Nathan shot her in the head.
Oh my God. Just a bunch of teenagers that he had worked with.
That he knew.
God.
He then made his way into the kitchen where Bobby Stevens, 20 years old, was loading dishes and utensils into the industrial dishwasher. Those machines are loud, so this is probably why Bobby hadn't heard the shots out on the restaurant floor. Nathan shot Bobby in the face and hit him in the jaw, and he dropped to the floor and played dead. And Bobby actually survived this attack.
Oh my God.
And went on to, he's still living now, so, went on to have a family and live his life. Finally, Nathan made his way to the manager's office and confronted the manager on duty that night, 50-year-old Marge Kohlberg. He had Marge open the safe and allow him to empty it. She complied, and Nathan shot her in the ear at close range. There were a couple different reports. He killed her with these gunshots, but I'm not 100% clear. There was one report that said that, he shot her and then turned to empty the safe, and then he turned back and noticed that she was still moving, and so he shot her again, but he shot her in the head and she died.
Jesus Christ. Jeez. Okay, so now he has shot
5 people.
Shit.
Marge was not the manager who had fired him. That manager was not even working that night.
Not that it would
matter,
but still, it's just even more senseless.
Right.
Placed.
None of the people
those
there,
other teen employees.
no one had anything to do with it.
No.
This doesn't sound like a revenge. I mean,
that's exactly what it is, but I think there are just other factors. This is
not a straightforward anyway.
Right. But
at a fucking Chuck E. Cheese.
Yep. He's the long and short of it is he's mentally ill, untreated, with access to firearms. And that does not mean that every person who's struggling with their mental illness is dangerous by any stretch of the imagination, but it just seems like this guy's been ignored for a really long time and
shuffled from place to place and getting little bits of help, but not comprehensive, holistic care.
He's in a rotating cycle within a justice system that's not restorative. So he's not being prepared at any step to actually manage his condition and go back safely into society. And now he's done this horrible fucking thing.
When one's family is also suffering from mental health issues, then they're not enough of a support system for this individual either.
And may not see the warning signs that can indicate these kinds of possibilities. It's just all around so fucking sad. Everyone's life is ruined. So brave as hell Bobby Stevens slipped out the back door while Nathan was in the manager's office. He made his way to an apartment complex next door and just banged on doors and windows until someone helped him.
And he'd been shot in the face.
In the jaw. He's like,
oh my God.
I know. So scary. Police were called and Bobby was taken to the hospital for his wound. Obviously, he survived. This is so fucking sad. Sylvia Crowell, who had been cleaning up the salad bar, she died in the hospital the next day as a result of her injuries. She was still fighting for her life, but she was declared brain dead.
Jeez.
And I think she was on life support, and I think it was just she didn't.
And she's fucking what, 17, 19?
She was 19, I think.
Jesus.
Yeah. So Colleen, Ben, and Marge were all declared dead at the scene, and Sylvia the next day, and then Bobby was the only survivor. So Nathan fled the scene with pockets full of game tokens and about $1,500 in cash. Jesus. So it was not about a robbery. No. He was there.
There are also a lot of elements of irrationality.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So, I mean, the tokens is a really creepy factor.
It's just he just grabbed at whatever the fuck was in the safe.
Yeah.
Without really any...
It was like he just thought he should demand the safe be opened, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was an afterthought.
Yeah.
I almost feel like...
Going through motions almost.
Yeah, it's almost... And there's so much going on here that there's no way to know, but it's almost like he got there and it wasn't the manager that fired him. And so...
But he was still amped up.
In the moment, he's like, well, I'm going to fucking rob you.
He was already shooting people before he saw who was managing.
Yeah. I know. But it's like he's shooting them to get to his target. And then his target wasn't even there. And so he has to create some sort of scenario where he's like, well, fuck this. I'm going to kill you anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I've now already done... it's not logical. Nothing that you can postulate
it's very
is
erratic.
logical. But who fucking knows? It could have been anything. It's just a revenge story coupled with some really fucked up gun laws and accessibility to firearms and
healthcare.
Really fucked up lack of mental health resources for all.
I don't even think it's like that much of a revenge story. Like I know what you're saying, and like on paper, yes, that makes sense. But to me, there's almost more of like an alignment with like stalkers who have like extreme mental health issues, and then they like for some reason they key into like one particular person, and then that becomes like their target.
That's kind of how I feel too. Like
where it's like he just like Chuck E. Cheese in this place was on his mind because he used to work there. He goes there a lot.
And he probably does harbor some negative feelings about it. But there are so many other things that don't really make a lot of sense.
I honestly don't know. He only worked at the Chuck E. Cheese for a few months. This wasn't like a long-term thing.
A career.
He's 19.
Right.
I think that I get what you're saying too. Right. There's nothing that I read about that indicates anything other than this man is not well.
Right.
And then he gets fired from like the first sign of stability in his adult life as a 19-year-old, and
he can't take it.
He can't take it, and he fucking loses it. And at the root of the motive is like kind of a revenge fantasy type thing.
Does he talk about his motive ever?
He doesn't talk about his motive like directly in court or anything, because he's also like a defendant that's A, he didn't take the stand, B, they're leaning or trying to lean fairly heavily on a mental health defense. So like those are not going to be... I didn't read the whole court transcript, so I don't know, but nothing I found was like straight from his mouth saying, I did it because of this.
Right.
We're
just speculating. You know what we're saying.
Yeah, exactly. So Nathan was found guilty and sentenced to death for 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder, because this is Colorado in the 90s and the death penalty was still a thing. He actually, well, technically death row doesn't exist anymore. We'll get to it, but like remained on death row for many, 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 many years. He filed a habeas corpus petition in 2008, arguing that his attorney was ineffective and did not present a defense that cited his history of abuse and mental health. They definitely did, but I think he's saying that it was not enough. Like it wasn't the forefront of his defense, and it should have been. This petition was ultimately denied in 2010. Nathan's attorneys didn't give up and argued that if the jurors had this evidence of Nathan's mental illness, that they would not have ultimately sentenced their client to death. So they're not saying like he's innocent or should be given, be let go, but they're saying he shouldn't be given the death penalty and he should just serve life in prison. Judge William Sylvester on May 1st, 2013, signed Dunlap's execution date to happen in the middle of August of 2013. But 3 weeks later, on May 22nd, 2013, John Hickenlooper, which I kept reading Hicklepooper when I was doing this research, and I was like,
president.
Wow.
I've met him.
Not get far.
No.
I mean, whatever. Cool. John Hicklepooper. I can't.
Yep.
He was the Colorado governor at the time. Hicklepooper. He would temporarily reprieve Dunlap's execution date, but it like only applied to his term as governor.
Okay.
So he put it off Like, all this meant for Dunlap was that if John Hickenpooper was governor of the state of Colorado, then Dunlap wouldn't be executed. But he didn't state that he decided to choose full clemency. So, like, when the office was taken over by someone else after he didn't win in the next election,
It could just be
then it was up to that
reversees.
person.
Right.
So the NAACP and other various groups continued contacting Hickenpooper, asking him to spare the life of Nathan, stating that the death penalty was used more on black and brown people than any other race, which is true. Like, we have the data to show that. The reprieve would also mean that unless Hickenpooper would place a new executive order Hickenpooper, that the states of clemency or the execution would ultimately remain on hold. So Nathan Dunlap remained the longest serving inmate on death row in Colorado, and the death penalty was officially revoked in the state in 2020 under Governor Jared Polis.
Okay.
So up until that change in the law, Nathan was the longest sitting.
And he's still in prison. He's just not on death
Oh,
row
yeah.
because there's no death row.
Yep,
anymore.
he is in prison, and I believe mostly in isolation because of the violent nature of his crimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
So how does this relate to video games?
Yeah.
I assure you it isn't just because he played them at the arcade before the murders.
Okay.
I assumed because it was at a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
No.
I was like, bit of a stretch, but fine.
The link is based on internet theories and speculation about the inspiration for the 2014 game Five Nights at Freddy's. From Wikipedia, quote, the main video game series consists of 8 survival horror games, so like it's 8 separate games in this like franchise, taking place in locations somehow connected to family pizza restaurant Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Oh, no.
In most games, the player assumes the role of a nighttime employee who must utilize tools such as security cameras, lights, doors, and vents to defend themselves against hostile animatronic characters that inhabit the locations.
Like Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes, the series canon is revealed through voice recordings, minigames, and Easter eggs. The franchise also includes spin-off games and other media, including a novel trilogy and an anthology series. The fandom of this game is, like, massive.
Dang.
Comprising of an all-encompassing fictional universe. The franchise maintains an active fan base known for its production of fan art and fan games, and merchandise for the games is available internationally.
Okay, at first I was really scared because I thought you were going to say that the game is like a nighttime employee has to defend against like an armed intruder.
Right,
And I was
right.
like, oh my God, that is disgusting.
It's
But
on the nose.
yeah, if
This-
against animatronic, like there is something just innately creepy about Chuck E. Cheese's
Oh,
and
we're
like
gonna
those
get
types
to
of
it.
places. Okay.
Mhm.
We're going to get to the fan-theorized connections
Okay.
and how they're complete crap, in my opinion.
Okay. All right.
So game developers stick to the story that this game stemmed from a previous game made by the same creator, like initial creator. His name is Scott Cawthorn, or Cawthon, I don't know, Coffin, Scott C., who had made a family-friendly video game called Chipper & Sons Lumber Co. There are also photos on the drive of these games that I'm talking
Oh
about.
my God.
In this game, you play a little beaver, and according to Chipper & Sons Lumber Co. fandom.com, quote, it follows a story of a lumber company ran by Chipper, a humanoid beaver whose son, Tyke, the player character, has to do certain objectives ranging from collecting a certain amount of wood, talking to other characters, building a specific thing, and playing minigames throughout the game. It's
I would
basically
play that.
early Animal Crossing.
It's Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
telling ya.
Kenyon, you would play Animal Crossing, and you would love it. It's so gentle.
I think I'd like it more if it was beavers.
There might be beaver characters on your island. Who knows?
Well, the Fisher guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's an otter, but whatever. The characters that were supposed to be cute in this
No,
game ended up
CJ.
being so creepy that they inspired the haunted animatronic nature of the horror survival villains in Five Nights at Freddy's. But fans of the game have long discussed in forums its connection to the Chuck E. Cheese massacre of 1993. While many still staunchly believe that the game was inspired by this tragic event, skeptics point out, and I agree, that this theory is likely rooted in the pearl-clutching media storm around video game violence and how that can trigger real-world violence, or how it, like, glorifies violence or glorifies real violent events. Like, that was all part of this kind of satanic panic.
Right.
And, like, there are games that are violent and inspired.
Tons of games that
Yes.
are way more on the nose
Right.
than, I mean, there are games where you can like literally play Nazis.
Yep.
shoot sex workers.
Yeah, exactly. Then this, where it's like you're fighting animatronic robot
haunted robots. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But so a lot of people were like, y'all, this theory is nuts. But to me, I think it captures kind of a like true crime fandom subculture where people just really like to make these
Finding
kinds of connections, even if you know they're a stretch.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go over the connections that they make. And I'm going to be honest, I love a good conspiracy theory, but this one just like made me feel super icky because people are connecting this real world tragic event with a video game that frankly has nothing to do with this event, in my opinion. But there's a whole like kind of fascinating subculture of the internet that really believe and like argue with each other online and have forums online about specifically this theory and this
Some
connection.
of that I just think is like so attention seeking and like they're just trying to, it's like the QAnon people. They're just trying to get that like validation feeling of like being
They want to
smart.
feel smarter than everyone else.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is how I'm going to finish out the case, is going over this fan theory. So they think that there are several links in this game to the crime, and that a lot of them are laid out in a video that Samantha actually sent me of like a YouTuber game reviewer guy who did a whole segment on this. So in this game, there are 5 animatronic villain characters trying to kill you as you try to survive. These characters are haunted by spirits that have allowed the fuzzy robots to come to life. Some believe that these quote-unquote spirits are a reference to the 5 victims in the shooting. The characters in the game are all moving and haunted, except one character named Golden Freddy, who is much more limp and lifeless. Theorists believe this is the character that represents Bobby, the sole survivor of the shooting, while the other 4 characters inhabit the spirits of the victims who passed. But this bear like doesn't move around because it's not haunted by like an actual deceased restless spirit.
It's so weird because it's the reverse. Like the victims aren't the perpetrators. It's
It's
seizing
weird
on the
because
number
it's
5.
bullshit. It's just bullshit.
Yeah.
It's also been confirmed by the game developers that Freddy's is indeed a parody of Chuck E. Cheese, because that was one of the things where they were like, it's based off of a Chuck E. Cheese. I don't find that particularly compelling on its own. The era of the game is within the, like, not when it was made, but when it's set, is within like a late 80s, early 90s aesthetic.
Yeah.
So like it's not particularly compelling because Chuck E. Cheese and arcade type buildings that this game is based on were at peak popularity within that time frame. So if you're doing like an animatronic survival horror in a 80s, 90s
It
setting,
could be Rainforest Cafe.
of course it's going to be in something like a Chuck E. Cheese.
We've all seen a Goofy movie.
Right.
Like, they were way
Pizza
more
Planet.
prevalent.
Yeah. Fucking Dave and Buster's is like the classy version of Chuck E. Cheese.
Right.
So throughout the game, you will get calls, like telephone calls on like a payphone in the building that gives you tips on how to survive. So I think you get like 1 or 2 calls a day. One of the calls you get on night 3 recommends you, quote, try going limp and play dead, which as we know is exactly how Bobby survived. But again, this is like an instinctual response that could have been incorporated into the game.
Have to play dead to survive.
Not compelling. The game has you using security cameras to avoid the evil characters, but one camera never shows anything. It's like a black screen. And Golden Freddy, the character that some of these folks think is based on Bobby, tends to hide in the unseen area. That unseen area in the game is the kitchen in the game where Bobby was shot in real life. So people are like, oh, it's Bobby's Golden Freddy and he hides in the kitchen. No. The fan theory also poses that you, the player, this is actually my favorite theory and the only one that I think tracks. That you, the player who's trying to survive, are actually the murderer, like back in the space again and experiencing a nightmare scenario rooted in guilt and of like angry spirits seeking revenge against you.
Okay.
I was like, that I could get. Like the victims of your crime, even a living victim, have now, like, their souls have inhabited these creatures that are trying to exact their revenge for their untimely death. I like that theory. I'm fine with that theory.
Yeah.
But all of it's BS, in my opinion. The game is not connected to this crime whatsoever.
Yeah.
The developers told you it was like a joke riff off of those creepy beavers that the guy originally made.
Yeah. The
It's
developers
also-
might not have even heard of this case.
Right.
It's not like that groundbreakingly creative either. And also, what the fuck would they be gaining by modeling this game after a horrific crime. Like,
no, I don't think that.
I think people like to see patterns.
Yeah.
And that's obviously what these conspiracy
Humans
theorists
like to see
Yup.
patterns. Yeah.
And it's
Yup.
just like more often than not, it's the dumber conclusion that
It
this has
really-
nothing to do with it.
I think that I think the psychology of why people do this, like draw these connections, is fucking fascinating. These forums were like a bizarre experiment to scroll through. And there's a part of me that gets it. Like, we consume in a similar fashion in true crime, where we have theories and we piece things together and we try to make things connect that we can't understand.
It's a puzzle, and at the core, a puzzle is for entertainment.
Yeah, we
Right.
all do it on some level.
There was just something like particularly, just because of the gruesome nature of the crime, I was just like, ugh, I hate
Just
this
a bunch
connection.
of teenagers who were senselessly murdered. I don't
Yeah.
think that is what this video game is based on.
No.
No.
So anyway,
And if anything, this video game is like less problematic than
oh yeah,
a lot of others out there.
oh yeah, I killed
Like,
those
be mad at
animatronic
people
robots.
monetizing, gamifying the Holocaust.
Right.
Yeah.
Ish. Fucking A.
Anyway.
Anyway, that's my case.
All right.
Nice
Well,
job.
Samantha.
thanks, Samantha Vanderveen.
So uplifting, so fun.
I kind of liked this topic.
I liked
Yeah.
it.
We
too.
learned a
It was
lot.
good. We
We
did learn
did,
a lot,
But
fascinating.
not how to pronounce dose.
Oh no, we did not.
We need a dose of our own medicine.
Okay, we will see you next week.
Bye bye.